Thank you so much. Good morning, San Diego. And good morning, Chavistas. And good morning, brothers and sisters. I am so happy to join you this beautiful California morning, to join you in remembering and honoring one of America's heroes, Cesar Chavez. But first, I want to thank Carlos and Linda for their invitation to this wonderful event, but more importantly, for their years of service. Carlos and Linda, your leadership on behalf of our community, our state, and our nation has been exemplary. You are the perfect example of what we mean when we say, échale ganas and si se puede. Thanks to you, Cesar's legacy of service, sacrifice, and commitment to a cause greater than ourselves continues to live and grow and contribute through the youth in the service clubs. Thank you, Carlos and Linda. God bless you. You are two of a kind. I also want to thank and recognize my comrades from the UFW days, those who are here today and those that could not join us this morning. They are the unsung heroes of the Farmworkers Movement. They gave part of their life, their talents, and their passion so that farm workers and their families could live in dignity. And they did all of that on the huge salary of $5 a week. They are my heroes and heroines. Compañeros y compañeras, I'm so proud to have worked with you, learned from you. I'd like to ask you to please stand up and be recognized. All of those UFW organizers, please stand up so we can recognize you. These are the people that helped build this movement. And I also want to thank this morning all of my San Diego brothers and sisters, especially from SEIU Local 221. I want to thank you for your friendship. I love my time in San Diego in the 90s and the 80s and 90s. I had the great honor and opportunity to work with many of you in this room today, the best community leaders and labor leaders in the country. I'm proud of what we accomplished together for the rights of workers and immigrants. And you have continued the battle, and through those efforts, you have created a more progressive and family-friendly community that is now more than just a Navy town. It is a place where families can thrive, not just survive. Thank you for all of your wonderful work. And to all of you Chavistas, those young people and those not so young, thank you all for your hard work. You are an inspiration to all of us. When I read about everything that you have accomplished, I am in awe of you. I wish I had done what you have done at your age. And I can say when I look at you, the future is in good hands. Because it is you who will lead us into the future. It is you who will keep fighting for that dream that we all have of an America that will be worthy of its people. You know, my generation, and you can tell when I say that by all the gray hair, my generation did what it could to leave you a better country than the one we found. And a movement belongs to all the generations. We are at the point that we are passing the torch to you so that you can continue the fight for a better future for all of us. And as you assume your role as the leaders of tomorrow, learn from our mistakes and build on our successes. I have no doubt that you will succeed, because when I look at the work you have already done, you are well on your way. Always remember who you are and where you came from, and that you have already begun to make Si Se Puede a way of life. Those lessons will stand you in good stead as you continue the fight that Cesar Chavez and Martin Luther King began. Remember, no one is in charge of your future except you. And when you work hard, sí se va a poder. It will be possible for you and for your community. I want to talk to you this morning a little bit of where I think our country is at this moment in history. But before I do that, I want to share a story with you. A story that I think that will sound very familiar to most of you. When you listen to that story, it may be the story of your parents, of your mother or your father, or it may even be your story. But it is my story. You know, as you heard, I was born in Mexico. My father had come to the United States to work, first as a bracero, and then as an undocumented worker, because we lived in a little town in Mexico where we were very poor. And so my father had to come to the United States to work, to send money to support us. I didn't know anything about the United States except that the streets were supposed to be paved in gold. And the things were so good that all you had to do was come here and sweep up the money with a broom. And I thought, El Norte, that's where everybody can accomplish what they want. Then my father finally decided that we should all move to the United States. So we sold our skinny cow, my favorite burrito, our pots and pans, and we packed up and we came to the United States, got to Tijuana. My father found us a place to stay, and then he jumped the border to come to continue working in the fields of California. And he left us in Tijuana so that we could get our immigration papers. So for 2 years, I didn't go to school. I wandered all over Tijuana, just waiting for the moment that we got our green card so we could come to the United States. And my father used to tell me that when he came to the United States, he did find a broom. He did find a dustpan, but it was to clean up, not money, but the places where immigrants worked. And he told us about the way that people were mistreated. He told us about the low wages and how hard life was in the United States. But that despite that if you were willing to work hard, you could actually build a better life for yourself. Finally, in 1956, way before even your parents were born, we crossed over to the United States and we moved to a little town called Delano. You probably heard about it in the history books. It's a little town in the Central Valley. And everybody went to work in the fields, except me, my sister, and my brother. We went sent to school. I was 10 years old, but because I didn't speak English, I was put in the 4th grade, not the 5th grade. And for 1 year, I sat in the classroom. I didn't know what was going on in the classroom because my teacher did not speak Spanish, and I spoke no English. So while everybody was in class working on their assignments, I was doodling because nobody could talk to me. They didn't know what to tell me until I learned how to speak English 1 year later. And you know how I learned English? Watching television. There was a TV show called I Love Lucy. You probably never seen it, but it was a show that everybody liked back then. That's how I learned English. So I stayed, then I graduated from the 8th grade. But my family needed me to go to work in the fields. So at the age of 15, I went to work full-time in the fields. And there, I learned what my father was talking about. I was paid 90 cents per hour. And when we went to the fields, you know, if you ever been to Delano, it's about 120 degrees in the summer when we were picking grapes. And there were no toilets in the fields. The water was like soup more than water. And if you needed to go to the bathroom, you need to go behind a tree or under the vines, because there were no bathrooms in the fields. And if you complained, they would tell you, if you don't like it, get out. Somebody else will come and take your place. And I felt so bad when I saw my mother and my sister having to relieve themselves under a grapevine at the loss of dignity. But I thought there was nothing you could do because we were immigrants. And I thought if we complained, we could be arrested and be deported. And I thought that was the life of the immigrants in the United States. Then one day I heard that there was a man by the name of Cesar Chavez, and he was fighting to make sure that workers wouldn't get cheated. And he took a labor contractor that had not paid us what we were supposed to be paid, and he took him before the labor commissioner's office and made him pay back thousands of dollars that he had taken from the workers. And I had never seen anything like that. Never. He not only had taken a labor contractor, one of the most powerful people in Delano, and beaten them and made him pay back wages. And on top of that, he was a white labor contractor. I'd never seen anything like that. And I got so excited by thinking that maybe there was something we could do to help ourselves. And 4 months later, I heard that there was going to be a strike in the grape fields. And I got scared. I scared because I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what a strike was. I didn't know what a union was that I heard Cesar Chavez was organizing. And then they said there was going to be a big union, a big meeting, September 16th. Do you guys know what September 16th is? Mexican Independence Day. And on September 16th, there is not a single Mexican that is not patriotic and is full of fire, and we're ready to go for whatever it takes. And so I went to this meeting, and it was in a church hall about this big. And I walked in, and there were twice as many people as there are in this room. And everybody was ready to go, and there was Viva Cesar Chavez and Huelga, Huelga. And I was scared to death. I thought Cesar Chavez must be 8 feet tall to be creating this much trouble. And he must have a voice. You know who, have you guys ever seen Star Wars? You ever seen Darth Vader with this deep voice? I thought maybe that must be what Cesar Chavez's voice is like. He must be like the voice of God, really deep. And I was just waiting. I wonder what this guy Cesar Chavez, because I've never seen him. And then they introduced Cesar Chavez, and then this little guy walks in. He was like 5'5". And he had a very soft voice. I said, oh, man, how can that be Cesar Chavez? What happened 8 feet tall? What happened to the deep voice of James Earl Jones? I was so disappointed. But then he started talking, and he started talking about how we had dignity. We were entitled to be treated with respect. He started talking about we had all of these rights, but if we did not fight for them, we would never enjoy the blessings of liberty. And he said that the growers may be our employers, and they may buy our labor, but they do not own us. We are free people. And the more Cesar started talking, the more and more I forgot about he was supposed to be 8 feet tall. And I forgot about the deep voice. And I, for the first time, felt a sense of pride, a sense of power. The next morning, I broke open my piggy bank. I took $15 that I had saved up. No, it was $10 that I had saved up, and I went in and joined the union. It changed my life forever. And I joined the Farmworkers Union, and here I am today. I'm here today because I went to that union meeting, and for the first time, I learned that I was the architect of my own destiny. That if I did things for myself, that my life could be different. So thank God for those lessons that I learned from Cesar Chavez. And I want to talk to you then a little bit about what that means today in 2019. Because we are having some very difficult times in this country. Today, because of government policy, America has turned from being a land of opportunity into a land of gaping income inequality, which has produced more billionaires and millionaires than ever before in our history, but so many, many more poor people, and left the middle class just hanging on by its fingernails. In this environment, the American dream has become more of a dream and less a reality. Today in the richest nation in the world, more people are living in poverty, having to work 2 or 3 jobs just to be able to feed their families. And some of you may have that experience with your parents, that they have to work that many jobs. Many people are living in converted garages, or 2 or 3 families live together in cramped apartments. Some are homeless, sleeping in their cars in city parks and streets. Today, we have more job insecurity than ever before. And today, not even a university education can secure you a job with decent wages and benefits, because more and more jobs are being turned into low-wage, no-benefit jobs. Because of these employment trends, health insurance and pension benefits are becoming a thing of the past, as more and more employers join the race to the bottom in order to maximize profits while discarding any responsibility for their employees and their communities. And at the same time, there is an organized campaign to cut taxes for the wealthy and corporations while undermining regulations and consumer protections. These policies are sacrificing our environment and our public and consumer safety in order to make corporations more profitable and rich people even richer. But in a democracy, there is a check and balance system that prevents corporate greed and political ideology from running amok. And it's called an informed and engaged citizen. That's the one thing that prevents the wholesale takeover of our political and electoral and social system. That's one of the things that people fear, the corporations fear. That's why we are seeing an unprecedented campaign to undermine a free press, the Voting Rights Act, unions, and to stack the courts. And all of these things that are going on in this country, meantime, is supported by an administration in Washington that is focused on dividing, not uniting us. And we've all seen what that has turned into. We've seen children put in cages and being taken away from their parents. We've seen billions of dollars being spent on building a border wall, money that could be used to fund education and health programs are being thrown down the drain while they seek billions and billions more for a vanity political project on the border that is not needed or necessary. We saw the government shutdown, denying people the benefits they need and the employees their paychecks. We saw young people placed in danger of deportation by the cancellation of DACA. And we've seen people deny their temporary protected status and also live in fear now of being deported. We also saw people denied entry into the United States because of their religion. And we saw a tax plan that was passed in Washington that provided billions of dollars in benefits to the powerful, that created tax deficits that you are going to have to pay for. Now, I don't think that that's fair. I don't think it should be like that in this country. We are better than that. One of the things that I learned from the Farmworkers Union and when I went to Chicago to do the Great Boycott, I learned that the American people are a very generous people, that they believe in fair play, that you should be recognized and appreciated. And let me paraphrase Martin Luther King Jr., that you should be recognized and appreciated by the content of your character, not by the color of your skin, the size of your bank account, or your immigration status. The good news is that the American people are responding. We've seen immigrants march by the hundreds of thousands, by the millions throughout this country. We've seen environmentalists marching in Washington, D.C. and throughout this country in support of our environment. We've seen students and workers and regular everyday people marching to the polls and across the streets of America in defense of our values and beliefs as Americans. I am convinced, and this is what I think is important for you, Chavistas especially, I am convinced that there's a new movement being born across America, a broader, more inclusive movement than I've ever seen in my life. A movement that is calling on each and every one of us to do our part to ensure that America does live up to its best self and becomes really, truly the land of our dreams. You Chavistas, especially, are so fortunate that you're living in this time. As difficult as it is, it is also a time of great opportunity to bring people together the way Cesar Chavez did, so that we may fight and struggle and sacrifice together for the common good. I believe this is a defining moment for our country, and it is your turn to lead during this difficult time. It's time to allow your light to shine at this time of darkness. As you move into the future, never forget who you are. Never forget where you came from, or that you, young Chavistas, you are the product of your parents' sacrifices, hopes, and dreams for you and for your family. Remember, nothing is impossible if you believe in yourself, if you are willing to fight and sacrifice for your beliefs, and to accomplish your dreams, and future generations are counting on you to take your place as the leaders of tomorrow. As you move into this brave new world, you are not walking in an unknown path. You are following in the footsteps of Cesar Chavez, of Martin Luther King Jr., of Dorothy Day, and other countless men and women who gave their lives for the dream of a better world for all of us. I know you can do it. As I look out at you and I look in your eyes, on your faces, I can see the future. I can see what we can become. We can become the stewards of a better tomorrow. One that you can do it. I know, I can feel it in my heart. You will make us proud. Thank you very much.